Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Chambers. I just wanted to go live really quickly with the school year starting back up, or for some children have already gone back. I wanted to discuss vaccines. I've been kind of delaying on this because it's such a touchy topic, but I think it's necessary. This is my point of view, just based on my experience and my knowledge as a licensed naturopathic physician. I'm not a huge fan of vaccines in general. Again, for those who have just joined, I'm here speaking about the COVID vaccinations in particular. I know there's a lot of controversy around it, but I just wanted to speak my point of view as I mentioned earlier. So, vaccines, I'm not saying not to do it, but I'm also I'm not telling you to do it either. So the whole thing is with vaccinations, particularly the COVID vaccine, we're getting a lot of information from medical professionals and the government saying that the vaccine has no COVID in it. But in fact, the spike proteins of the COVID molecule itself is what is used to create the vaccine. And you can't separate COVID from the actual protein, the spike proteins. That's what actually allows for our bodies to build up immunity. So I feel like there's a little bit of deception where that is concerned, which is hence my reason for wanting to speak about it. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, children in particular, those are our fragile human beings. They are the next generation. And although they're pretty strong and as they're getting older and they have their youth, however, I don't think that is the best practice to just loosely give vaccines for children, to children, especially when these vaccines are still under research phase. It's still voluntary. It is not mandatory. And a lot of schools are requiring that children have the vaccinations now before they re-enter the school building. So I just wanted to give a different perspective. And so a little bit of the science behind it. There are two vaccines that are most popularly used. I will not name them. I'll allow you to go and do your research on your own, because part of being a naturopathic physician is not only for us to teach, but we also teach our patients how to advocate for themselves. So I'm going to give you that opportunity to go and research on your own if you have not done so already. So a little bit of the science behind it. With the messenger RNA vaccines, 2 out of the 3 most popularly used here in the United States are messenger RNA, and it's said that it does not interfere or have any involvement with our DNA. However, messenger RNA is the transport and helps to develop in the recreation and new sequencing, of the newer DNA strands. So, although it's also said in some of the research that I've done that the messenger RNA will it dissipates on its own after a few days, but quite frankly, who would want any of the COVID virus circulating in their system for any period of time, especially when you don't necessarily have to, if you are a healthy, vibrant individual with strong enough immunity. I personally don't think that it is necessary. That is my personal opinion. Again, I do not want anybody saying that Dr. Chambers said, oh, well, we shouldn't get the vaccine based on A, B, C, and D. Again, you do what is best for you. And you can use this information and do what you must. I'm going to try to put this video up on YouTube with a link from a professional who actually worked in research with creating vaccines. And so it talks about how many of our vaccinations have preservatives, additives, they're made of carcinogens, things that you typically would not want to have in your system. So just be mindful of that with our babies, with the children, your children. So mainly parents, guardians, foster parents, anybody who is in care of children and has to make decisions about their health. This was really something that I felt urgent about, and I delayed in doing the video again, as I mentioned, but I feel like it's necessary to give that other perspective. So there are things you can do to increase your immune system and to keep yourself safe. We have a lot of things going on out here now. Now there's monkeypox. And so I would just advise everyone to, as best you can, do your social distancing. I'm not saying to hide yourself in your home, but of course, use common sense and don't go into risky situations where you know we're at the height again in the resurgence of the COVID vaccine, but now this new thing with the monkeypox. So wear your mask, wash your hands. Try not to go into crowded environments if you can help it. If you do, have your mask on at all times. Social distance as much as you can. At least 3 feet. I personally think it should be 6 feet still. I've not moved away from the original CDC requirements. I don't agree with some of the new standards that have been set in place. But hi, Gideon and Pretty Smile. Thank you all for joining. I hope you can hear me clearly. This is my first live, really. So I wanted to start branching out and doing videos because I know that is more interactive and more informative, and it can allow you to ask questions if necessary. I'm also trying to build up my YouTube. So this will be one of the first ones because right now YouTube is doing a whole lot that I don't want to be bothered with. So it's just easier to click on this button and get right on Instagram and make it happen. So that generally is it. So if you are concerned about what the vaccines, like how they actually affect your body, that's the thing. It's a genuine concern. We really truly don't know. For example, children who were entering school, in the 50s and the 60s, when there was polio, they were mandated to receive the polio vaccine. And research has shown that a lot of those children who are now in their adult years, or they're in their 50s and their 60s now, and it has shown a link to cancer. So, of course, I'm sure there are other lifestyle factors that can add to that. But I personally know, through family members and people that I know personally who are of that generation and who had generally healthy lifestyles. And they were part of that population who received those polio vaccines. So whenever we're receiving these vaccinations in its research phase, we don't know what the side effects and what the outcome can be. And it may be years from now when we actually see what those effects are. So I'm just saying, use all of the information that you have available to you. I believe that I am one of those sources of information. And I am a woman of faith, so you will hear me throughout my videos. I may talk about God. You may hear me say Jesus. No offense to anybody, but that's my faith. So thanks be to God and for covering me that I've never had the COVID virus. And we're almost in 3 years in, and I work in as an essential worker in a very high risk, and with a very high risk population. So I know that there is no workings of my own other than me doing my due diligence as far as wearing my mask and washing my hands often and trying to keep myself distant as much as possible. And I still live life and I enjoy my life, but I do try to put into play certain precautions that I know will keep me safe. But I know ultimately it's God's grace and his hand on my life. And maybe it's just for this purpose for me to sit here and to tell you that it is possible, and that you can keep yourself safe without putting your health potentially at risk, of which you may not see until later down the line. So that's that. I hope what I've said makes sense. Again, to parents, please do your research, look into the information. You do have rights. Certain school systems will mandate for you to have these vaccines, but there are ways around that. Nobody can force you to do something with your body or your children who you have guardianship over, to do something that you all are not in agreement with and you don't feel is safe for for your body and your system than your overall well-being. So again, school systems are very risky. The classroom, I understand, and now with monkeypox is really going to be something else. But if you know the protocols of your the teachers that your children will be under their care, and I know as far as government schools, there are certain protocols that are in place. You can also teach your children. Now with the babies, it might be a little difficult because they don't like to keep their mask on. And then if you're in a special ed population, that also becomes very challenging. But for your older kids, the ones who can make the choice and discipline themselves as much as possible to keep their mask on and to distance themselves when they can, in the school situation, is really all you can do, and have them to wash their hands, and when they come into the home, wash their clothes, all of that, because now they're finding that certain things can live on surfaces. So it can become a very risky situation for everybody. So that's it. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, you're free to ask. My DM is open, and I'm going to put this video up on YouTube as well. All right, which is also called Whole Wellness Way. Thank you. Have a blessed day.